Well, we're here in freezing cold Canada, Toronto, Canada right now, sitting with Vincent John Vincent, president of GestureTek. He just gave me a very comprehensive demo of a lot of the different products that they're doing with 3D imagery. Vincent, thank you so much for talking with us today. We had a couple of different questions because a lot of companies might not know about GestureTek and some of the history behind the company. They might be very familiar with some of the applications which are now growing quite rapidly. But first of all, if you could start off with talking a little bit about the background of the company, because you guys have been doing this for a while.
Yeah, we're the inventors, pioneers, and patent holders for video gesture control. Mm-hmm. So initially we started off, looking at how do we get people to interact with screens just through body gestures, and that was starting in 1986, and eventually having a very robust product by about 91. But what we've been able to do is use video cameras as interfaces to computer displays, digital signage, and let people walk up to them and either be really immersed on the screen, see their image on the screen, be able to interact with the animation that surrounds them, or be able to point at the screen and literally take over the cursor like it's a touch screen and be able to control it. Or in some cases, just turn the surfaces of the various, whether it's a table or a wall or a floor or a window, as interactive surfaces where your gestures will just have an effect on the content. And then also, from all of that, we also sort of evolved into multi-touch surfaces. So, like letting people do more dynamic things with the surfaces when they're interacting, multiple people at the same time, whatever that might be. But the idea is all around using video gesture control. And literally, there are thousands and thousands of installations in public spaces and retail, digital signage, museums, science centers, location-based entertainment. So there's all sorts of applications of this technology that's gone out there, and it's been quite successful. And it's been a long pioneering, evangelizing road, and now we're starting to see that people are really getting a sense of what we can do in public spaces with gesture, and now with we sort of started with 2D cameras, but by 2000 we started pioneering 3D camera gesture control, and so that's really catching on now. We're seeing a real uptake in public interest for that.
Sure. Now, it's something that goes along very well with the topic of the website, DOOHSocial, which is talking about 3D. You guys even have a mobile product, and talking about digital signage, obviously. Now, the technology has come a very long way thanks to processing speeds and some of the other factors that go into it. But could you explain a little bit about how you're able to create this zone in which people can interact with a surface or a digital sign that sits away from the actual sign itself?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways. One, when we're either using a 2D camera or a 3D camera, part of that is keying you out of the background, being able to capture just you. If we're going to put you on the screen, we want to be able to detect you versus the background. Mm-hmm. So originally we used blue screen or green screen keying, and then we were doing motion keying. Now with 3D cameras, it's actually a depth key, so we can actually separate you from the distance behind you. Then a lot of the other applications that we're creating, we're wanting to, if we have the camera literally looking back at the screen, we want to not have it be reacting to the content of the screen, just react to the user as the individual. So we use IR, and the camera essentially looks. The IR creates a field level at which it ignores everything within that field, which would be the projection and the imagery on the screen. It just picks up the user as a separate individual, so we can track their motions in front of the screen separately. So combinations of various cameras or configurations of cameras and IR light.
Okay, great. So the IR is something that actually cancels out some of the other light that might be coming into the cameras in order to create this.
Yeah, and a lot of what we've learned over the 25 plus years of putting public installations is you can create a lot in the lab, but when you get out into public spaces, you really have to deal with the environment. So you have to really understand how to place a technology in a given lighting environment that might be changing over time, and have a constant viewing perspective that the IR light really helps us with, and as well as just knowing your cameras, knowing having a robust technology as well.
Sure. Now, some of the technology there is very familiar to consumers, having it be basically the basis for Microsoft's Kinect. But there are also other sorts of technology and applications that you guys are seeing. Some of it has to do with advertising and brand recall, and some of it has to do with just kind of a cool factor. So could you talk about maybe a couple of the applications that we have?
Yeah. So we've got these, as I say, these various types of interactive gesture control systems. As I said, we have immersive, where your image is on the screen, and then we have interactive surfaces, and then we have point and control. each location is going to want something different based on what they're trying to achieve with their clients. So if it's informational, people needing to find out more information, generally it's going to be a point and control, whether it's pointing and controlling from a distance, or whether it's coming right up to a surface and having a multi-touch type of interaction and control, whether that's as an individual or as a group. But in some cases, we're really just having a pure gestural effect. They want to capture people's attention. They want to engage them, make them entertained and enjoy and have some sort of experience. And that can have two effects. One is we have clients like StrataCache and Enview that are using our technology as literally digital signage in public spaces. They are in malls, whatever they might be, in stadiums, train stations, airports, wherever that is. But it's an interactive digital signage that wants to engage people when they're coming up to it or past it, and have them not only have an enjoyable time, but remember the brand. They're going to, obviously, later on when they do their purchasing, they'll have a positive aspect to that brand recognition. And that's all been very positive with that, and studies have shown, arbitrage studies show huge amounts of retention of that information. Other locations, they want it in their things, not because you're going to have specific information about products or brands, but as more of an engagement for an entertainment destination experience. They've made their retail location to something that people enjoy, the experience they had at it. Old Navy is a really good example of that, where they've now got 400 of our cubes. It's an interactive projection system for the floor. The cube is really convenient in that it's an all-in-one turnkey product, projector, camera, computer. It's like literally we deliver it. They push one button, it's on, it's interactive on the floor. They don't have to worry about it. We don't have to send technicians. And it just functions, and it's great because what happens then is that when the clients come into the store, they're engaged, they're entertained. The parents, have their kids playing for longer periods of time. They're actually doing shopping. They're shopping for a longer period of time, their actual sales are going up based on just having the consumer engaged much longer in their store. And obviously, the longer consumers are engaged, the more opportunity there is for them to buy in once they're looking through racks or whatever that might be. So. It's had a really positive effect, and it's really used that way in a lot of places. In some places, Virgin megastores used it by putting it way in the back to areas that people didn't get to. So by word of mouth and seeing that people are engaging in the classical or jazz section rather than the top 40 section, they're getting more people to go into different places of their stores that they don't normally get the traffic. Okay. So it really is based on how the particular client wants to use the system to engage the public as the appropriate technology and the appropriate use.
Well, it seems like there are a lot of great applications for it, and I've seen some of the things that are now in the beta testing stage here in your lab, and it's really, really impressive. So there's a lot of good things that come from GestureTek. Vincent, thank you so much for coming.
All right, very good. Thanks for coming by.